Emissions from an electric vehicle are 3 times lower than a conventional car. That's over its lifetime, including manufacturing, according to a UK study. The global electric vehicle market exploded in the past decade. In 2010, there were about 17,000 electric cars on the road. By 2019, that number grew to more than 7 million, with nearly half in China. Tesla's Model 3 was the best-selling electric car in 2019, and most major auto brands now have their own electric offerings too, including the Nissan Leaf, Hyundai Kona EV, and BMW has 7 electric models. Chinese companies BYD and BAIC are also top global sellers. Karma is a U.S. startup company owned by Chinese auto supply firm Wansheng Group. It makes luxury, hybrid plug-in sports cars. As vice president, Lewis leads business strategy. I head to the company's headquarters just outside of Los Angeles to talk about the future of electric vehicles, or EVs for short.
Let me trace back a little bit on the history of the auto industry, right? So in Detroit, I think there's lots of pioneer for this particular industry, and we're very respective on those pioneers like, Ford, Henry Ford, right? So the T-car definitely is one of the famous, vehicle in the mass production, right? So he created this flow type of manufacturing methodologies. That was like 100 years ago, right? So the industry actually kept moving along towards a point. Before it's mainly, it's more like a hardware, it's maybe 80% on the hardware on the vehicle, maybe less than 20% on the infotainment, the intelligent piece on it, right? So, and then towards right now, it's more like, the coin more flip a little bit. So what does that mean? That means, you can see the change of the industry. So the industry evolved from whatever it was towards whatever it is now. And definitely there's a future for this industry to move towards, right?
Lewis has degrees in business and artificial intelligence. Prior to joining Karma in 2019, he consulted for several international and Chinese brands. How annoying is it for you to be in this business and just hear only one name, Tesla, Tesla, Tesla? It seems like Tesla sucks the oxygen out of the room. Elon Musk is, anytime people talk about EV, it seems like it's always in the conversation. Obviously, you guys take enormous pride in what you do. Is that annoying?
Actually, we think differently. We definitely appreciate what Elon Musk has done to the EV because they actually make the market awareness, right? So people actually start looking to the electric vehicle. And we actually have lots of respect to Tesla, to whatever Tesla has done. But for Karma, actually, we took different routes. So Tesla took the route, it's more like, producing entire line of the vehicle, competing in all the segments, right? I'm talking about premium and volume, stuff like that, SUV and passenger vehicle, right? So for us, we make our brand from our car, like this beautiful car, and then people look at our brand. But we actually open up our technology. We have this open platform. We open it up and provide it to others who want to really get into this market. And those areas are volume, not us. Okay. And also, we welcome other technology innovators to use our vehicle platform to co-integrate their technology on the vehicle. We have, partners like Xperi, Panasonic, so they're all using our vehicle as a platform to integrate their latest technology. And also Amazon, AWS, they're using our vehicle to put in like, intelligent safety function features, and also the in-cabin AI sensoring, so the car know the people inside of the car because there's the sensors to know who is in the car, what this person play what kind of music, and also what kind of temperature you like, and if the back seat has the baby sitting there, what you need to do. You see what I'm saying, right? So there's all kinds of technologies to be integrated on our platform. So that's why we took the different route compared to Tesla. The other piece is the design. So we have these really smart, talented designers in house, and we open that up. and also our design studios, we open it up. We design the vehicle for others, we design the yachts, we design maybe the helicopters, motorcycles, we actually offer others to share our technologies and the designs. And here as well, we call this factory, we did not call the factory as the plant, we call here is customization, innovation and customization center.
What exactly are we looking at here?
Mike, this is the pen booth. Please come in. So what we have here is the individual pen booth, and then this is state of the art. It's different from the mass production pen booth. This is individualized, and then we can get different colors and repairing in this particular booth. And then it has the bake functions as well. It pen and bake. So this is combined two functions together.
So Lewis, you've got a battery of tests, so what are we going to be looking at here?
Yeah, I think before we get into the last test, and then after the 360-degree climatization test, we get into this water testing, which is the last one. Normally, for the other car manufacturers, it only take 1 minute for the water testing. For us, it's going to take 4 minutes. Just make sure the car everything is okay, waterproof. So we're going to see how that rolls, right?
Right. The car is now ready for a test drive. It's just so smooth.
Yeah, it's very quiet, and then we purposely make some sound, but otherwise it's going to be very quiet.
Quiet and fast. Top speed is 200 kilometers per hour, as a company test driver demonstrates for me.
When we're in our stealth mode, high voltage battery completely powering the rear battery is just like a full electric vehicle. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, so because it's high voltage, it produces much more torque to the rear wheels than a standard gas engine would. So that's why you get it's hard to keep the wheels from spinning if you really want to take off.
Some analysts say China is the future of EV. The Chinese government has spent about $60 billion to prop up the industry through research and development funding and tax incentives. There are now an estimated 400 EV companies based in China. In 2018, Chinese consumers bought 1.1 million electric vehicles, more than half of all EVs sold in the world that year. The price tag is one of the biggest barriers to customers. Karma, which markets itself as a luxury brand, starts its Revero GT model at $135,000. Among other car brands like Honda and Chevrolet, the cost of their EVs is at least $30,000. And just over here, you look. You look at one of the cars over to my right. It says China. It's being sent to China. These cars don't just stay here in California. They're going all around the world. So talk to me about the type of customers that are showing a great deal of interest, because I know Europe's you're seeing more sales there, I believe, as well. Kind of give me a sense.
Yeah, I think for Karma, we first look into the market in the U.S. and North America. So we're not really rushing to other markets. But, we follow the customer, right? So if the customer in China, they're interested in our vehicle or services, we're going to try very hard to satisfy that particular demand, right? So that's where the market lead us to the China. So we've seen the Chinese, rich people or very wealthy, people. They're looking for something like what we talked about before. It's like they want something really unique, special, and also EV. So they're looking at our vehicle to be part of their collection or their vehicle collection. And we actually had only, we just show our line first time last year in May in Shanghai Auto Show. So we never actually demonstrated our vehicle in China before. And then the people really love it. And lots of people did not really recognize the name because we never, we never intend to market our vehicle before. So we want to do that well in US. So believe it or not, our vehicle actually been sold in US for 2 years, more than 2 years. So that's our focus, but definitely we chasing our customers globally. If there's a customer needs or the level of vehicle, we definitely try to serve them.
There's a state official here in California who said there is no pathway away from dirty air without EVs, that it really is, it's the technology of the future. When does it become the technology of today? Because when do you see the tipping point where people start to say, I'm not going to buy this car, I'm going with an EV?
Yeah, I'll give you some kind of numbers. I think in US, if you're asking the buyer today, so there's roughly like a 10 to 30% of the buyers they want to buy EV. In China, that percentage is very high. It's like a 70%. And people going towards that way. And then right now, the trend from customer or from the market is going up towards the EV. So the tipping point really depends upon the gasoline price, and also the key cost elements on the electric vehicle, which is the battery, the cost of the battery, when that price is going to drop.
Major package delivery companies are now investing in electric fleets. UPS ordered 10,000 electric trucks from UK-based tech company Arrival for deliveries in Europe and the United States. Amazon announced it's ordering 100,000 electric vans from the EV market Rivian to start making deliveries by 2030, part of its pledge to be carbon neutral by 2040. Tech companies are also exploring EVs. So talk to me about the future, because we all hear all these conversations about autonomous vehicles and of course China, as we know, there's a lot of smart cities where they're designed with that in mind. Where do you see the evolution of cars? I mean, give me your sense 5 years, 10 years down the road. I mean, I was talking to somebody last night who said it's going to be this quaint notion that people would have a driver's license. In the future, nobody's going to even need them. How do you see it?
Yeah, basically, what we see in the vehicle becoming more smarter, right? So think about it this way. The vehicle is more like part of the family's life, right? They support the family. Before, the vehicle is kind of a dump. They're not smart. They've been treated as the transportation tool, right, from A to B. But later on in the future, the vehicle becoming more smart. So it can understand you and try to support your lifestyle rather than it's a car. It's becoming your partner, becoming really know you. And then you know your car knows you. So that's the elements on the technology innovation nowadays, play a big role to disrupt this industry. So it's becoming a connected vehicle, smart vehicle, autonomous vehicle, even though autonomous vehicle is going to come maybe 5 to 10 years, but it's moving towards that direction. So there's a very broad, imagination on how the car can play the role in the people's lifestyle. I mean, the future, I think the vehicle is going to change lots of industries rather than not only the auto industry, but other industries as well.
The car industry's always been, you think of Volkswagen or you think of Ford, you mentioned Ford, but now you have like Amazon and BlackBerry and all these other kind of groups that you wouldn't normally think entering this sphere. What's that done? How's that changed things?
Yeah, I think that's when I mentioned, times, right? So they actually move into the auto industry. Why? Because, they treat the vehicle as another, hub to carry the data, because if we're talking about the autonomous drive, the car actually collecting tons of data, right? So the future is all matters of data and computing, right? So they can have that and do whatever they can do, right? So the car becoming one of the interface or one of the node for the telecommunication, for the consumer electronics, because they want their contents in the car, they want the panels in the car, people access the information rather than just driving, right? So think about if the car can drive itself, what you can do in the car. So the only thing you can think about is maybe to access your entertainment system, the content becoming very important, right? And also maybe do your office work. So that's connectivity, that's telecommunication, right? So they actually love you to use, their services while you're driving. Actually, it's not really driving, but the car drives itself, right? So you can be freed out and do whatever you have to do. So in average, everybody, the drivers spend 2 hours in a car per day. Think about 2 hours. That's quite a bit of people's life, right? So once the technology is there, the car can drive itself, or can assist you to drive a portion of that, and then you can do something. So you can recoup some of your time back, and then do whatever is more important by yourself, right? So all the other elements falls in rather than the car. So that's why, answer your question, so that's why the time, all the other industry, they're interested on this auto industry because of that change. Before they're not, because the car is just like the metal box, right? So right now the car becoming more smart, autonomous drive, take away from people to drive the vehicle, and then you can do some other things.
Let me ask one final question. The other piece of this, which we really haven't talked a lot about, is to be involved in an industry that's helping the environment at this pivotal time, as we talk about. The U.S. has just left the Paris Climate Accord, but everyone's on this planet is talking about the future of the planet. And in a sense, this is helping the future of the planet. Talk to me about what that does for you personally.
Yeah, I think I was moving from electronics manufacturer environment before getting to the auto. And people think about the auto industry always pretty, in the world, like a dirty, right? It used to be old metal and oil, and it's very dirty type of things. And the reason I joined, the EV company is because of, my life actually is pretty much in the towards like a green initiatives, right? So we love to help on anything, which is going to help the environment. And so that's drive me basically to work on the EV rather than the traditional vehicle field. So I have a passion, to see that change. And also I have the passion to see there's lots of new technologies available on the EV. And the EV is actually enable those technologies. Think about it, the technology actually, they're all powered by the electric, right? So it's not traditional hydraulic, type of mechanical stuff. It's all electronics. So the future of the car is becoming more like maybe you can assemble in your garage because it's all modularized and it's simple. The electric motor is much simpler than the internal combustion engine, right? So it's much simpler to get everything put together, rather than you require lots of things. But the final testing certification has to be done by the authority, right? So before it can get onto the road. But the future is there, and the EV is the right space, for me and then for lots of people try to work with.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you very
Appreciate it.
much. Yep.